Hey, everybody, welcome to Tutum Talk with Cara Nance. And I am super honored and excited to have my guest today, Diane Weaver from Baryons. Diane, welcome to Tutum Talk. Thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. It's a gorgeous day outside, and I'm just so excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too, me too. And where are you joining us from? Just for listeners, I think I remember, but
Yeah.
let's put that out there.
I'm in Southern California. So if you take the map of the United States and fold it in half, I think we're about the same, just on opposite sides.
Sweet, sweet. So like little crepe action. That's how I like to have a crepe. I know a lot of people roll, but I like to kind of make it like into a
Oh, nice.
taco. So yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. I love it. A little pancake, whatever. Beautiful. All right. Well, like let's just have that visual and we can give ourselves a little high five there. Like come to
Across the
boom.
nation.
Yes, beautiful. Friends, you're clearly in for a very fun conversation because we are awesome. Like, I'm not even going to be humble about it. Diane are just awesome. So I
Love
have
it.
loved, yep, I've loved every conversation with you thus far, and I know that's not changing anytime soon. So, friends, enjoy the ride ahead. I'm going to share Diane's bio so everybody's got a little more context around the convo, and we'll go from there. The journey ahead. All right. So Diane, as a tech founder, patent inventor, and speaker, Weaver is focused on what it means to live and lead in the intelligence age. With over 20 years of experience driving large-scale transformation, she's known for helping organizations and people see patterns differently and rethink what's possible. Her work sits at the intersection of innovation and intentional living, exploring how we use technology, data, and AI not just to do more, but to live better. As a mother, operator, and builder, Diane brings a grounded, real world perspective to conversations about health, performance, and designing a life that actually works. Diane, holy cow. And also, we've already established like you have an evergreen invitation to come back on the Tutum Talk. And with that amazing bio, I'm like, we're going to need a couple more times for conversation. Like, holy
There's
cats.
so much to unpack.
Ugh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. So, with all of that, is there anything else that you'd like to expand on or add? Where you want to go from there?
Yeah. Well, so whenever I feel like I have kind of this blackout moment before anyone reads my bio. And so then I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That was
so,
me? What?
so
Amazing. Yes. Yes, that's you. Yes.
it's always kind of one of those moments because I feel like, everything is happening so fast right now, and we're all operating kind of at capacity, and our brains are really fuller than ever,
Right.
probably.
Right.
And we're doing this dance in really new ways, I think. The way
Mhm.
that we work, the way that we're communicating with other humans, communicating with AI, etc. And so I find myself often kind of going into a conversation with like a little bit of what's my context? I need to ground
Sure.
myself. And I felt this way last night actually because I went to my city's AI meetup group. We meet once a month. And
Okay.
this one is in Irvine, California.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and it's a fantastic group. And typically, we're all in a room at the JCC, and
Awesome.
there are, 3 to 5 presenters
Mhm.
one night a month, right? And it's
Okay.
it's fun, it's dynamic. There's all these ideas going around. And the conversations are so great that for last night, the organizers decided to just make it a laid back mingle,
Lovely.
and for me, it was very refreshing because I spend a lot of time in my home office in these
Mm.
4 walls, right?
Yeah.
kind of virtually traveling the world, but really just being in my home office with my 2 dogs on my feet, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. Blessings, amazing blessings, yes.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
definitely, definitely. But getting out into the real world with other humans,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it really filled my cup.
Isn't it
Yeah,
amazing how it's such a difference? Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was huge. It was great.
I love it, and what I'm really quickly, remembering is that we haven't even offered the context for listeners in terms of the connection, so we just had your colleague, Mike Hushka on a couple weeks ago. His awesome episode aired, with, and CEO of Baryon. So would you like to
Yeah.
share with listeners your connection to that magical human being that we know as Mike, affectionately known
Yes,
as Mike? Yes, please
yes,
share. I was
I
like,
would love
"Holy cow, we
to.
haven't even talked about that yet."
Let's connect those dots. I love
Let's
it.
connect yes.
Oh, absolutely. So Mike Kruska and I, we go way back. He was an early friends and family investor of my last startup. And
Okay.
he came in through one of my co-founders, and they found each other through the futurist conferences.
Hmm.
And in my interactions with throughout my last startup, I always was so impressed by Mike's optimism, just
Mm.
unwavering optimism and
Mm.
love and
Yeah.
curiosity for the world. And that is just something I love to be around. And I also know that he's one of the smartest technologists that I've ever met. And just smart in general about
Yes.
human psychology, behavior, organizational theory, all of the things that we need right now in this moment in time as we're rethinking a flourishing workforce. He's got them. And
And
so,
in one human being, can we just have a moment? Like,
yeah,
usually it's in, like, a couple of people. He is such an amazing combination of, like, wow, all in one human, like, beautiful, huge brain with a beautiful, huge heart and
yes,
vision? Like, what?
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So I knew then that I definitely wanted to like keep this guy in my network, right? And everyone that
Mhm.
he knows, I want to know, and
Sure.
hopefully it's mutual. Now I know
Right.
it is mutual. So,
Mhm.
but it
Beautiful. Yeah.
so one of the amazing parts of our story is that so my last startup, we went from napkin idea to patented, product and platform, and then acquisition in just 4 short years. And it was a whirlwind.
Mm.
And when we were acquired, overnight, that meant that the number of universities using our platform doubled, and then within a year, we doubled it again. So tremendous success. It was absolutely the right home for that
Mm.
concept and idea, and it
Mhm.
continues to make a positive impact in the world. I couldn't wish for anything more.
Yeah.
So I stayed on for a year to oversee the merger and acquisition. And
Okay.
then when I stepped away, I wiped my laptop, closed it, put it in the mail, and hopped on a plane and went and cried for 3 days. And
Oh.
then, because, as a founder, it's
Yeah.
still, you're
Yeah.
still saying goodbye.
Right.
And,
Right.
then 2 months later, OpenAI
Can I have
released
a moment real quick? Like, you literally sent your baby off to college. That's what just came
yes,
in, because it went to all the colleges. So, like, you literally like a parent mourning an empty nester. Yes, I'm with
yeah,
you. Okay, thank you for
exactly.
accepting the interruption.
Yeah.
It's like,
No,
that's very poetic, right?
that is
Yeah,
exactly how it felt, right?
great.
And I knew it was like, one chapter closes, another one starts. So OpenAI released ChatGPT like 2 months after I spent that weekend crying, right?
Sure, yep.
And I was like, okay, this is going to be very interesting. But
Mhm.
as we know from living through the .com era, where we basically took the yellow pages and put them online, I
Yep,
did not want to recreate anything. I wanted to build something that before was impossible, if that makes sense. I
sure.
wanted to build
Yeah.
something that before we were not able to do. And so I had a bunch of ideas, of course. People were reaching out to me, but everybody wanted to put the yellow pages online, create a widget, right?
Right, right.
So I called up Mike Ruska and I said, "Hey, man, how are you
Yeah,
thinking about this?"
yeah.
And this NIST scholar, he just came out like, firing on all cylinders. And I was like, all right, yep, we're more aligned than
Mhm.
most. And so he introduced me to Brooks Canavesi, who's our chief
Mm,
product officer, and like total unicorn, just as much software developer as he is salesperson and
mhm,
storyteller. And then they both introduced me to Ryan Krinjek, who is our chief technology officer, and he has led just he has led so many software development teams throughout his career, and probably the biggest and most impressive one, well, I don't know, it's tough, but
sure.
one of the best ones that I always like to say is at AccuWeather. So
Ow.
because he had to build something at scale that could really withstand, like a billion, hits and transactions in any
Oh,
given days, which is like amazing. It's amazing.
yeah.
So
Alright.
the 4 of us, we are the
Jeez.
co-founders
The
of Barry.
dream team, also
Yes,
known as the dream team, yes.
yes, that's right.
Wow, wow.
Yep.
No.
So we're the co-founders of Baryons, and we like to say that we keep calm and bury on.
Yes, I'll do it my little dad that yep.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Keep calm and bury on. Hey I'm just gonna share with listeners in full transparency, that was Diane's way of teaching me how to even say bury on. It's like, it's very catchy. Now I got it. Like, Mike, if you're listening, see? Yep, keep calm and bury on. I got it now. No worries.
You'll
Put me
always
in,
remember
coach.
it.
I will
Yeah.
always remember it. Yes, and share it with my
Yep.
friends because I'm already sharing with my friends, and I've got to catch a way to share with my friends so they remember and share it with theirs. There we go.
Mm,
Ripple effect.
mm.
There we go. Mhm, mhm.
Love it.
Amazing. All right.
Yeah.
So, golly, I'm so curious. When you were younger, I can't imagine you would have seen you now and
Mm,
doing what you're doing because the things that like the waters that you and the team are navigating didn't even exist. But was there some sort of an inkling that you would be in this type of innovative, forward-thinking, impacting the world type of day in and day out? Like you said, traveling the world globally, that you're making that kind of a global impact.
yeah.
What's coming up for you as we go back to, younger Diane?
Yeah. Well, a couple of things. I like to kind of explain my origin or the weird things about me by saying that
Amazingly awesome, yes, go on. You say weird, I say amazingly awesome, tomato, tomato. Keep going.
I think it's synonymous. Yes.
Beautiful, yes, exactly.
So, I do like to provide the context that I grew up working on a family farm and getting chased by paparazzi. And
Okay.
that dynamic really it helped me understand at a very young age kind of the nuances. The things are
Mhm.
not black and white. They're very nuanced. Context matters. There's the full array of human experiences and emotions, regardless of your class, your race, your background, all of these things. We each of us experience our own personal human existence with the full array of emotions and
Oh,
absolutely entitled to that experience in its fullest way.
yeah.
And so that's always been at the heart of my of everything that I do and pursue. But also I had, I had the privilege of being raised by parents who were very curious. They were such
Mm,
opposites, but they were also very curious. And my dad's dad in particular, he was an inventor, and he was a pioneer in radio and television in the
Mm.
40s and 50s in television specifically. And he always said that the latest, he loved tech. He loved technology. And he always lived by this guiding principle that the latest technology is here to serve humanity. And that means communications, education, providing, a better quality of life to everyone, right?
Mm.
And that is truly, you know, the path and the existence that we're on as a species, as humanity. And that was always a really beautiful thing. And I'll never forget, towards the end of his life, he would always say, I wish I had another lifetime just to see where all of this is headed. And a lot of that was the
Mm.
tech. A lot of that was the innovation. A lot of that was just this knowing of he lived through the very early days, the early decades of technology. We've been talking about AI since 1960s, right? And that's also when people were really imagining this future state where we would have telephones without cords, and we would have, ways of communicating, across the world, and that we would have, space travel and all of these different things.
Others,
Yes.
like, I was right there with you. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All of those different things, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so he was, through watching him and listening to him and his reflections, it
Right.
really just brought this like layer of curiosity and kind of like technology historian and an anthropologist out in me,
Mm.
which was really amazing. And I went on to it. Now I'm just gonna tell you
I
all these
love it.
stories
Yeah,
of my
well,
childhood.
real quick, I'm just gonna plug in
Yeah.
a little bit because it's right here, like, the legacy that not only like, he clearly planted transformation seeds in you, right? It sounds like your experience with, and this is your dad's dad, your paternal
Hmm.
grandfather, right?
Yes.
And I just got full body goosebumps as you were sharing, just thinking about the legacy that how you are carrying on his legacy.
Yeah.
And I believe that our loved ones are all around us when they, transition
Mhm.
back to spirit. And I just feel like he is so dang obviously so dang proud of you, and just like, look at her go, like, exactly, like, that's my granddaughter. That's what I'm feeling coming in, it's like, yes, yeah, yes.
Oh,
So
thank you. Thank
yeah.
you for saying that, because that is so healing, to hear,
Mm.
and just wonderful to to take a moment and celebrate that, because I do feel that too.
You know what also just came in with a full body
Mm.
goosebump? How powerful it is that he shared everything that he shared with you with his granddaughter. Like, I hadn't even thought about that part, aspect of, right? It's just, I feel called to name it, right? That not in every family was sharing with the women of the household, or right, women performing, women, like, whether one identifies as a woman or not, but like identified as
Mhm.
female in the family, to pass on that kind of information and curiosity and ways of being in the world, like, wow, revolutionary and,
Yes.
uh, feminist.
Yes.
So that just came in. Yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I will double down on that big time,
please.
because
Yes.
he had 2 kids, my dad and my dad's sister.
Okay.
And my dad's sister is an incredibly strong woman, and she is a feminist through and through. And
Mm,
then me and my sister, we are absolutely feminists through and through. It's the
mm.
anything you can do, I can do better. We just absolutely
Yeah,
grew up with that spirit. And I
awesome.
also have 2 brothers, and it does not diminish their experience or their awesomeness in
Of
any
course.
way whatsoever.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Amazing. So, like,
yeah.
everybody's just confident in the brilliance that they bring being themselves.
Absolutely, and
That's
I
so
think
beautiful. Ugh.
I think the 4 of us, we're pretty unique. We're all very different personalities, and I think
Mm,
we kind of took on that allowance partly because our parents were so wildly different from each other. I mean, very country
yeah.
mouse, city mouse, right? But
Right.
then also extrovert, introvert, or the opposite way, right? City mouse
Sure.
was extrovert, my dad, and my
Okay.
mom is introverted.
Okay.
They had similarities and then they had vast differences. And I think each of us were kind of like, well, that's just a full license right there to each be
Right.
our own selves and not worry about our differences.
Mhm.
Is
Mhm.
it was really a gift.
Yeah. Yeah. Golly. So, all right. So, wait, so we've got young Diane. With everything that you've accomplished thus far, is there anything that you would go back and share with little Diane?
I think I would share something. I think a couple of things. I was
Yeah.
a daydreamer and I had a
Mm.
mouth. Like I was always getting in trouble for talking in class, and my colleagues will not be surprised to hear that. So, if
Love
I'm
it.
feeling comfortable, I'm like, and
Yeah.
and I'm a verbal processor, so you will have front row seat to how I'm taking in the world, right?
Mm.
And I think that there were many times early on when that was kind of like not what was wanted or needed by the adults in the room.
Mm.
And just really like, I mean, because we're talking about the 80s
Sure.
here and 80s and early 90s, right? And so, I think like many young women who are burgeoning feminists and have a voice and like know know what they want and can, command a room. um, like, I learned how to turn that on and off and kind of keep it
Ah.
under wraps, and then
Mm.
undoing that took a lot of years
Yeah.
so that I would so that I could just, get back in touch with my, mind-body connection. I think that's the biggest thing, that when
Mhm.
we tell our young people to not be themselves, that we're actually causing
Mhm.
a dissonance between the mind and the body. And so I would tell my younger self, like, don't pay attention to that. You do not have to do anything perfectly. Be you, focus on improving the things that you want, and leave the rest behind.
Right. Right. Yeah, and I go back to our, like, little selves, which were doing the best that they could to stay safe, right? Like, tapping
Yes.
into w what was expected of you because that is how you stayed safe and survived the world, and
Yeah.
so I know I keep digging there, and I think I'm just staying curious about it as we support anybody listening right now that either might be a young person or supporting young people
Mm,
in their and staying curious, staying true to themselves. I know we're talking like 30, 40 years after the time that you and I were growing up. I get that, and I still think there are some of those societal expectations of like, actually, now is not the time.
yes.
Like,
Yeah.
please just, like, keep it for, like, when we get back home or when we get to, wherever. And, maybe that adult isn't following up with the young person when they really just when they were really excited to share whatever they were sharing, and they just kept getting shut down, shut down, shut down. And you
Yeah.
learn, like you were saying, well, just stay shut down and learn how to turn it on, turn it off. So, is anything coming to mind or, heart or head on how to support are especially for the adults who are like, "Gosh, I really wanna support this passion," and holy cow, like, man,
Yeah.
how do we channel that energy for our next brilliant generation, right? Because we're surrounded by so much brilliance with our young people, like, golly, they inspire me all the time, and also, like, man, I'm just gonna need a moment, please. Thank you.
Yeah,
So, yeah, what's coming to you on that?
definitely. Oh my gosh. So two things that are really coming to me is
Mhm.
that if we can teach our young people the mindfulness and presence, then I think that will naturally start to help with that.
Yeah.
And then because we don't always, especially when we're young children, we don't know when we're dysregulated.
Right.
And so if the adults around us are showing their moments of dysregulation and how they obtain regulation again through grounding exercises or
Mhm.
mindfulness or breathing exercises. I mean, that is like number one, the best thing that we can do for young people around us because
Mm.
they watch and learn our from our actions,
Mhm.
much much better, much more
Right.
than what we
Right.
say.
Yep. Yep.
Because we are mirroring creatures.
Mhm.
If we want to make a change in ourselves, our own lives, we change our settings. Sometimes
Right.
that looks like changing some of changing the like folks that we spend a lot of time around,
Yeah. Yeah.
too, to try to break out of our own, patterns. And so recognizing that as an adult, you are a really critical anchor to those young people's a sense of groundedness and regulation and showing
Yeah.
them healthy like co-regulation
Mhm.
too because of course like when you're around a child, let's talk about tantrums, right? If when a child is tantruming, it does elicit like a response in us too, right? And so
Mhm.
how we react in that moment is really critical because then we show co-regulation. In some circumstances, a quick and efficient shutting down is appropriate. Let's
Mhm.
follow it up with a reflection after, right?
Right.
In
Right.
other in other situations, there might be a little more room and space for grounding in the moment and breathing, and those kind of things. But like
Mhm.
it's child to child, right,
Of
too.
course.
It's
Right.
very much. Yeah.
Yeah. I I'm wondering through your journey, especially as an innovator and right, like multiple startups and just to me, and it's all perspective, right? The word large to
Mm,
one person is a very different meaning compared to somebody else's. Like same word, two very different definitions, right? So everything that you have experienced thus far in this beautiful gift called life, I'm over here like, wow, like, you've done some really big, large, eh, gosh, you just had really, powerful life experiences,
mm,
and especially in the space of innovation and tech and forward thinking and science, and I love that you're bringing in the mindfulness, like, and these aren't your words, and I was hearing you say, like, response versus reaction, like really tuning into like that. Just take a beat so it's a response rather
yeah.
than a reaction, right? Sometimes in safety, we just have to shut it down, like not now. And I love that
Mhm,
you reinforced and let's reflect when we are in a safer space. Also, the amygdala, like that lid can come back down and we're a bit more calm. But are there any specific practices that you want to share with listeners that have really worked for you that you feel comfortable to share? It when you're in those spaces or that you have found pretty consistent throughout your various seasons, whether right, your beautiful babies, is getting purchased and you have to send them off to a whole brand new startup and all the different iterations as you and the team are navigating at Baryons. So I know those are just 2 of many examples, and your mother, like, all these different, um, in ways of being, right? Like, your worlds. What what are some go-tos that you tap into and reach for that are pretty consistently, effective for you to get to that grounding and like, "Whew, alright, and I'm back. I'm me again, I'm Diane, and now I
Mm,
can move forward."
this is a great question.
Oh,
This is a
thanks,
great
buddy.
question. And I think that what I've learned over time is that there are certain things that are very calming to me. And so
Mm,
I instead of like kind of pushing those off to, to a vacation or like a moment in the future, I try to bring those moments of calm into my daily so that because like you're saying, and thank you so much. I do feel like my life has been a gift in the opportunities that I've had.
for sure.
And I feel like a lot of privilege there too.
Mm,
And so there's there there I want to bring a metaphor into this that is
please.
helpful for me too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um And kind of the underlying theme here, that you'll see is water. Water
Mm,
is very calming to me. So
mhm.
I always have my water, and I will
Cheers. Cheers. There you
yes,
go. Hey.
yes. Sometimes I will sip on it when I know that I need to, like, regulate my breathing.
Mm,
I'll sip on it if I'm getting a hot flash, right? And
yep.
I will, or I'll sip on it when I just need to take a beat. And it is very regulating. I will also, if there's a body of water nearby, I will jump into it. And
Okay.
I,
Noted.
yep, I
Where'd
am a
Diane
fish.
go? Oh, she'll be back. Okay,
Uh-uh.
good to know. Splashed.
Yeah. I am a fish. And so so I love the sounds of water too, so like some of that
Mm,
white noise, it might be rain, it might be,
mm,
river sounds.
uh,
But I also really like to think of my experience like surfing. And the surfing
uh,
metaphor is really it's really strong in my mind, and it's something that I can easily access in the moments that I need it.
okay.
And I like it because it's a metaphor that is easily relatable, and it has many layers, and we can like go deep into the meaning, and it can get technical or not, right?
Right.
So but let me so now that you kind
Please.
of see the full big picture, let me
Love it.
kind of step back and talk about how I use this as a tool for myself.
Sure.
So my dad, was, bipolar,
Okay.
actually, and so I grew up around these very dramatic peaks and valleys, and it
Mm,
was like, everyone in the home was impacted by them, and a lot of my adult experience has been to, try to not recreate peaks and valleys.
right. Yep, yep.
However, it probably does explain why I am drawn to things like startups and things
Mm,
that are, like high octane experiences in my life feel actually quite comfortable to me. And
mhm.
so taking on that chance or that risk, it actually feels more comfortable I'm even saying
Sure.
monotony, right?
Right, right,
Or
yeah, that
consistency.
consistency,
Yeah,
yes, like, dependable
consistency.
consistency, right, yep,
Yeah,
yep. Wait, I
yeah,
got you, I got
exactly.
you.
So I love the wave metaphor because then I can start to kind of make sense of my own ups and downs, right? And so when and resiliency also plays a big part of this too, because when we do live a life where we're encountering as many downs as ups, and
Mm.
everybody does,
Right,
it goes back
right.
to the human experience. We all have heartache, we all have pain,
Right.
we all have sorrows that we learn
Right.
from. And so when the wave comes down, it doesn't matter that the wave goes down. What matters is, what do we do when we're down there?
Mm.
And what are our coping behaviors? How kind are we to ourselves with
Oh.
our inner critic, right?
Oh. Uh-huh.
And then if the period between the down waves, if we're able to kind of shorten that duration, that's
Mm.
a signal that we're flexing our resiliency muscle. And so then it becomes less about the ups and downs and more about the, all right, let's get back up.
Getting that
We're going to
rep,
figure
like,
this out. Yes.
yeah,
You're like
right.
building that strength.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes more about like, all right, let's get back up. Let's figure this out. Let's phone a friend. Let's, you know,
Yep.
get get some people into our lives who can help us, get through this. And and those are kind of the coping skills, but really visioning this wave also helps me with tempering the ups and downs, because
Mm.
when you're constantly putting yourself out there and trying a lot of stuff that frankly I'm not very good at, it's
Mm.
like
Okay.
putting myself out, out there is what I'm good at.
Right.
Doing the things I might not be good at, but I'll be able to sustain it for a time until I find someone who's better at it, right? and and then we
Sure.
work
Yeah.
together. And so
Like a baton, you're like, "Okay, now we pass it off." Right?
yes,
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
So in doing that, I see a lot of opportunities that come,
Right.
and there will be multiple reasons why I might miss the opportunity or say no to the opportunity, as many, probably more no's than yeses, right?
Sure.
And this is where the surfing metaphor really comes into play, because
Yeah.
when you're out there with your board, you're not catching every wave. You're
Mhm.
catching a handful of waves. And when when you decide to go for a wave, you give it your all, unless it's not
Mm.
working out. Then you just like stop, right?
Right. Right.
And so so reminding myself that, like, look, whatever opportunity it is that didn't work out or whatever, it's
Right.
not the last wave that's coming. There are always going to
Mm.
be more waves that are coming. And my job truly,
My job.
yeah,
Mhm.
my job truly is not to catch every wave. My
Right.
job is to do the daily things, like
Right.
getting up and doing the
Right.
exercises
Right.
that improve the surfing, right? Eating the right
Mhm.
things, getting enough sleep,
Mhm.
like staying hydrated, like, and then
Right.
from a professional standpoint, that looks like daily routine things that we can do as professionals that we might learn from our mentor, right?
Mm.
So that we have
Mhm.
some structure regardless of what waves are happening that day. And
Yeah.
so that's where mentor as surfing guide is like also a
Yes.
beautiful metaphor, right? Because
Yeah.
your mentor, they are not going to be able to magically tell you which wave is going to be the wave, right?
Right.
But they can point you to where to find the tide times, right? So when is it going to be high tide? When is it going to be low tide? And what to look for and what might be the right conditions to
Mhm.
act upon. They
Yeah.
can also help you understand, like, the time, where the moon is in in the
Right.
lunar cycle and the impact on the tide. Also weather patterns, and barometer and things like that. So this is where it gets very technical. So
Mm.
someone who knows a lot more about what you're trying to go out there and do, they're not going to be able to tell you exactly how to do it, but they're going to be able to tell you what to watch out for, talk to you, listen to you sharing what you see and
Right.
starting to kind of shift your perspective to see it a little bit differently so that you can start
Mhm.
catching more waves than you were catching before. Or
Right.
maybe you don't, but you are coming out of that experience like feeling like your cup is full instead of discouraged, right?
Right. Right.
So, different, like, mindset shifts and things like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Because just that last little part right there, I mean, I have notes. I was like, "Wow, I've got this is so awesome."
I feel like
Yes.
there's a book there. I feel like I need to write a book about all that.
Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. Because just that last little bit there, I was thinking, even if you don't catch a wave, like, it's just like a slow day or whatever, the way it's like putting on glasses, like wisdom, mentor
Mhm.
wisdom glasses, because now it's not just a horizon of water. You've got almost like these special, I'm thinking like Mission Impossible. You have like these Mission Impossible glasses now where, this lens of you see it differently. I'm actually thinking of Wayne Dyer's his famous quote of, when you change the way you're seeing things, the things that you're looking at change, right?
So
When you change the way you look at something, what you're looking at changes, like just your perspective. And I know that's
yes,
ableist language about the seeing and all, but like you're switching your perspective and
yes.
what you thought you knew about, like your absolutes about whatever, fill in the blank. Like, oh well,
Mhm.
let's just do like a not even full quarter turn here. Like, oh, it's a different color on the side on the backside, like, all these other like, "What?" Mind
It
blowing,
could make
right?
all the difference. A
Yeah,
tiny shift makes all the difference. Yeah,
exactly, exactly.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
some other ta are you would you like to hear
Mhm.
my other takeaways?
Yes, yes, of course.
So so I'm a big fan of flow over force,
Mm,
and your entire metaphor, like, that just kept poetically pouring in, was just this, like, yes, when it's a force, and that really came in when you were saying, when you were sharing the on the board, like, the actual surfing, you make it work to a point, and then you just flow. You ju and for our friends out there who have never surfed, I'm realizing, like, maybe nobody knows what we're talking about. We're talking about getting on a wooden board years ago, and now there's a bit more updated technology where it's not wood, like, it's different material, but basically you are floating on water, amazing, using this board and riding a wave. Like, it's this awesome board supporting you, literally dancing on a wave. So
yeah.
for anybody who has no idea what we're talking about with surfing, I was like, maybe we're losing some people. So now you're back, hence all the water metaphors.
I'm
um,
so glad you shared that. I
oh,
and I
yeah.
love I wanna just repeat this so it sticks in my brain.
Mhm.
Dancing on the wave. I love how you said that
That's
because
funny.
that really is it's what it feels like. And I'm not a great surfer. I have a hard time even hopping up on my board.
It
So,
is talk about full body workout. Holy
yeah,
cats. Yeah. Yeah.
definitely, definitely.
Mhm.
So it is, you're dancing on the wave and, it's, some dances are more graceful than others, and it's totally fine.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. The another piece that came in was the gift of impermanence.
Mm,
That your entire metaphor, like, it just
yeah,
kept coming in that, right? It's not gonna last.
yeah, yeah.
The way, right? The low,
It's not
eh,
meant to.
like, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, right?
yeah.
Yep. And then the last little piece there, Jack Cornfield, are you familiar with him?
I don't think
Okay. He, gosh,
maybe.
super, yeah, like, spiritual thought leader, that like
Mhm,
that, like Wayne Dyer,
mhm.
Joseph Campbell, Jack Cornfield, like like in that crew, I
Right.
guess, right?
Yes.
Um,
Mhm.
my Jack, I'm sure you have many amazing quotes out there, and I don't even know if you're still with us in the physical, like, amazing human being with, I'm
Sorry,
sure,
Zach.
many also yeah, like, apologies. It's
I
amazing,
probably have read some of your stuff.
yeah, yeah, like, that guy, yeah. Um, he owes me $20. No, I'm just kidding. Um, so Jack Cornfield, my favorite quote from him, and when I served, central office, Wake County Public Schools it's like all I was helping out with all the high schools in the Raleigh area for intervention services, behavior support, online learning,
Mhm.
and our offices were cubes. I lovingly called it Cube Land, so like all of our little right? And on my dry erase board on the outside of my cube, because I just love the quote so much and it applies, I was like, "Oh," and I listened, I promise I listened to everything that you said, and I was just waiting for the Jack Cornfield quote. I was like, "Oh, it's not. That's cool. Amazing. Like, I get to add something."
Yes,
And that is the quote is, "You can't control the waves, but you can learn how to surf."
Jack, we should be friends.
Exactly. I was like, "That it." Yes, exactly. So if and when, I'm just gonna say when, we're gonna manifest this probably, like, we're just putting it out, and when your book
Yeah,
is out in the world, thank you so much for an autographed copy in advance. I have a funny feeling that that Jack Cornfield quote would,
first page.
fit somewhere in there. There you go. Yes,
Right on the
exactly. So
first page. Yes,
yeah, because it was
definitely.
everything that you were sharing. I was like,
Yeah.
exactly. Like you ebb and flow, and I love that you brought resilience, like the truth that
Mhm.
resilience is a muscle. There's so many. Gosh, it cracks me up that common saying right now, at least in my spheres of community, life will life, like life is lifing, like cracks me up. And in the moments when life is lifing, I feel like I was a dean at a high school in Chicago back in the day, and I felt kind of hip. I feel older, I was like, hey, I now know a saying that people are saying right now, so I feel a little hip. Like I was having one of those high school hallway Dean Nance moments just now. I was like, "Hey, life is life, and kid," like, "Oh gosh," and they would probably turn to me like, "Nance, we said that like last week. It's so old." Like, okay. What are we saying this week? Like, what's hip this week? Because
I don't even
yeah,
know.
what, yeah, exactly. So, but I just love your metaphor and the massive amount of wisdom and beyond golden nuggets, like golden mountain of wisdom that you share with your practice of water and how grounding and how you bring it into like every facet of your world, like how
Yeah.
you've really tuned into what that is for you. So I know listeners are very much tuning into um how accessible your wisdom is for everyone. So thank you for bringing your full self to all of us. Truly a privilege and your vulnerability in sharing with
Thank you.
everything that you shared. So honored.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, no, I really am such a firm believer that we should each define what flourishing means to us and
Mm.
pursue that in small doses on the daily, in the regular. And I think that is, if dare I say it, the secret to happiness in life.
There we go. Yeah, friends, you look no further. And
And that
I
doesn't come from me. That actually
okay.
came from when I was, and I apologize for interrupting you, but
You're
when
great. No, I love it. Yeah.
when I was 19, I sold my drum set and moved to Russia and became a teacher. I taught for 6 months. And after that, some of the teachers and I backpacked through Eastern Europe. We went to Auschwitz. And it was such an impactful experience that as soon as I came back, I picked up Dr. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning.
I have it on my I just got goosebumps. I'm halfway through it. Amazing. Yes. Da, da, da,
It's
da, da.
so
Yes.
good. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
good. I
Yes.
swear that changed my life
Mm.
at a really early age. And, I was like, I mean, 20, you're figuring out what to study in school, you're
Right,
trying to figure out, you're thinking about all these, like, career choices that feel,
right.
like, heavy and final and, like,
Mhm.
"Oh, once I make this decision, I can't go back," which is not
Right.
true at all, ever.
Oh,
And so it was in kind of that frame of mind that I read that book, and I was just like,
a
"Holy
a
cow."
and real
If
quick for listeners, do you mind to
Yes.
give a little context on the book?
Oh, yes. So
Just
Doctor
so because I know you're about to bring us home. It's amazing. I was like, for friends who don't know what we're talking about, real quick, yes. Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So, Dr. Viktor Frankl is a Holocaust survivor,
Mhm.
and he talks through his experience in incredible detail, and so parts of it are really harrowing, and other parts of it are just I was probably the best word for it was stupefied. Like, I
Mm,
was jaw dropped, like,
yeah,
no words, right?
right, right.
For the amount of hope and
Mm,
beauty and
mhm,
kindness that he still saw and created for
mhm,
himself and for the people immediately around him when it was safe to do so
right,
in those extreme circumstances. He was actually in Auschwitz,
right.
and Auschwitz is one of the we went to 2 or 3, I think it was 2, camps and then like a city within a city where people
Mm,
were contained.
okay.
And so those concentration camps were just, I mean,
Yeah,
I I close my eyes and I feel like I'm there. That's how
sure.
memorable they were.
Yeah,
But listening to Dr. Frankel, who against all odds survived
yeah.
and really talked
Miracle.
about
Mm,
how it was his psychologically, it was his ability to hold on to purpose and meaning
mhm.
through hell that helped him survive. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's an
All right.
amazing book. Amazing book.
Yeah, highly recommended. And what just came out, I was like, I wonder if it's time to start a Tutum Talk book list, like off to the side because there are so many
Oh,
amazing recommendations. And that, yes, top.
yeah.
There's been a few guests who have mentioned that text, and I'm so thankful. I had a friend who had a copy. I was like, I've been wanting to read that, so I'm halfway through, and I have dyslexia, so yeah, it takes me a little bit longer. Just outing myself a little bit. Zoe, I swear I'm bringing the book back. I promise. Digress. So think right. It takes a village. That's the other
It
piece that I'm really getting from our
does.
conversation. Like we don't do it alone. Even
We
reading
don't.
our awesome books, right? Okay,
Yeah.
so you're
Mhm.
you're 19. You're reading Man's Search for Meaning, and holy cow, it sounds like you're finding the meaning. Like holy cow, thank you, Dr. Frankel, right?
Yeah.
Which he wrote after surviving, right?
Mhm.
At Auschwitz, he was at Dachau, like a few, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like the first third, and then
Mm.
Friends. He continues to write craft. His definition of love is amazing. I'm forgetting the exact page. I
I
want to say
need to
page
reread
89
it.
or something.
So long.
It's so freaking
Wow.
beautiful that from
Yeah.
all that experience, his takeaways actually we need each other and we need to
Yes.
love each other. I was like,
It's about
what?
human
Amazing.
connection. That is the
Exactly.
meaning. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
So you're 20, you're 19, 20, reading this book. Thank you for being open to like plugging that piece in for listeners so they have a bit more context. Uh,
Everyone's path in life is so uniquely theirs, and
yeah.
it's like looking at the stars, and you could create these constellations of narratives, to kind of unpack each of your own North Stars and values. I think
Mhm.
that was a really pivotal one for me. And, I think another really pivotal one was
Yeah.
I did go into an ed tech career
Mm.
right after college. My mom was an educator and my dad was an entrepreneur.
Okay.
And so going into ed tech made perfect sense
Yeah.
and just came very naturally, right? So
Right.
I really, spent a lot of my career working uh, well, I didn't know this at the time because you never do.
Right.
But looking back, 2020 vision, right? Hindsight,
Mhm.
and you see the patterns. And so, amazingly, these waves of opportunities kind of like kept me circling around solving the very complex systemic problems that we face in our human development throughout our
Right.
lifetime. One of the most, I think, formative moments there in my career before I became an entrepreneur, I was an intrapreneur.
Hmm.
I worked at very large companies. And when I worked for Pearson, I had the opportunity of working on statewide longitudinal data systems.
Okay.
And so we connected the databases across school districts,
Mhm.
across higher ed,
Mhm.
across workforce,
Okay.
across the whole state. And we worked with about just over half of the states to establish this.
Okay.
And of course, once that was in place, there were so many great things that the states could do. They could automate reporting, but then they could make these anonymized, aggregated data sets
Mhm.
that told stories about what it meant to grow and flourish in that state. What
There you
was
go.
the human journey, right?
Cool.
And these large data sets were often utilized by policymakers,
Mhm.
and they still are today.
Okay.
And we, we were all kind of like chasing this vision of, having the data collectively available so that we can start to improve the system underneath.
Right.
And working with the data was mostly assessment data. And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
working with it, it became really clear this is Swiss cheese. We do not
Right.
know. We do not know if people had breakfast. We don't know if they slept last night. We don't know if someone in their household was arrested last night.
Right.
Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
And um and those kind of things actually have a bigger impact than what's happening in the classroom. With your education
Yes.
background, you know this
I was
firsthand.
gonna say, it's like we were in the same meeting. I don't know if we've had this moment. I worked for Pearson for a minute as well, so I didn't know we had that in common.
I didn't
Mhm.
know that either. That's
Yeah, yeah,
amazing.
so I'm right there with you, identical conversations support schools throughout the country and very so yeah, bringing those data sets and, like, these are humans that we're talking about, and there's so much
Yes.
more than these numbers, each one of these numbers is a human being with all the humans around them. Yes, 100%. Just got goosebumps.
Exactly.
Yes. Yep,
Exactly. That's
yep.
exactly right. The context matters.
Mhm.
And importantly, all of the missing data matters so much. So
Yes.
what were
Snaps.
they supposed to learn? When, how, and why of the learning? Even if
Mhm.
it was just, here's what was supposed to have happened, and then
Yeah,
here's the reality of what did happen, because we
right.
also know that's the human experience, right? In every facet. And that's okay. It's
Right.
knowing it. If we know it and see it, then we can talk about it differently, and then we can start to make those changes that impact the overall system and connect with humans better. So
Yes.
with that realization, I went from Pearson over to a an adaptive learning software company, and I learned a lot about curriculum development. And
Mhm.
while I was doing that, that was my only very small chapter in K-12. The rest of my time was in higher ed or this statewide longitudinal data system, of course, was like lifelong learning.
Right.
And but in that very small moment, I had a really good friend who was over all of the curriculum development for WGU, and she was seeing the same problems there
Mhm.
in higher ed that I was seeing in in early education,
Mm,
and I was diving deep with the scientists around the neuroscience and brain development and brain health and everything, and I at the time, my son was 4 years old, so it was, like, just the right timing to get curious
yeah,
about that stage of
there.
development, and so she and I were talking so much about, how to, help solve this problem that she and I co-founded, along with the third co-founder, Course Tune.
Mm,
And that startup experience, we were building a really sophisticated tech. We created some technologies that had never been created before. We got patents for it and everything. But
wow.
we used the technology to reimagine
Mm,
how people talk about the problems that they're trying to solve, right?
mhm,
And so it was a way for people to crowdsource the what, when, where, how, and why of learning, across a course, across a program, across, learning pathways and
yeah,
departments at the university.
amazing.
And then of course, organically, when something works really well at university, a lot of K-12s want it too, right?
Right,
So
right.
there was a lot of excitement and things were happening, but the thing that I was the most excited about was that people were able to see their reality in a completely different way than they were ever able to see it before. So that
Mm,
perspective shift.
yeah,
And you could quite literally, there were like two sides to, at the course level, there were two sides to the visualization. And if
mm,
you were a faculty member, you would see this side and you make your changes. It would
right,
automatically update on the administrator side because
right.
you know how that human interaction is and
Yep,
how relationship needs a lot of trust rebuilt, right?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
so
And that transparency is so crucial in building that trust or rebuilding wherever you are in that phase. Yeah.
yes, yes,
Mhm. Mm,
exactly, exactly. And it's so important for the person to be able to see their perspective reflected accurately. It's validating. They
mhm,
feel heard, they feel understood, right?
mm,
And
mhm,
then at that point, they are cognitively open to communicating with someone else about how to improve it, right?
right.
So it really helped to shift and change something inside of the humans who were interacting with the technology in
Mhm,
such a way that they were able, like, the biggest feedback that we kept getting from folks was that they 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 can't they now that they've seen it, they can't unsee it, and
mhm,
so there was this new motivation to solve it, which
okay,
is like a home run for students.
right. Yep,
Absolutely.
yep,
And then also that, when they would go through their standard and accreditation review, they
yeah.
were getting the highest marks, which means that their next accreditation review would be 7 years out, 10 years out, not
Right,
again next year,
right,
which
you can
like
breathe.
such a labor. Yes,
Yes,
to do that.
amazing.
So, I mean, it was just really fantastic work.
Yeah,
And building tech that does that, that's human first, human centered, and highly transformative, that is what
right,
feeds my soul
it's amazing.
deeply. Yeah.
Right,
So that is how we're approaching baryons in this very personal experience with your baryon. We're
mhm,
really conceptualizing the interface is the inner world. And so
mhm,
when you interact and with your baryon and have your experiences with your baryon, it's through voice. You actually
right,
call it on your telephone. And so you can do it on your
yeah,
phone. You can,
yeah.
if you're driving, be safe, but you can
Right, yes,
call it
yep,
on
right,
Bluetooth
yep,
if you have the appropriate connections and connectivity.
mhm,
Um, and Or you could have it, in your headphones while you're walking the dog, and you can talk to your baryon anytime you need it. And what it's really focused to do, we talk about it like we have built the first AI that is incentivized to get you off of AI and back in the real world connecting with other human beings. That is literally the goal.
It's so funny, like, we clearly have had, connecting experience in education around intervention, support, right? I think that's the best summary statement I can make on that, and I always said, it will be a great day when I no longer have a job because
Mm,
it means that we're serving the whole student, the whole
yes.
child. And I feel like with what you were just saying about Barry, I like that's what I'm hearing you say. It will be a great day when you no longer, right? Um, right, when you're thriving, when you're flourishing,
Yeah.
when you're experiencing flourish to that level.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing you say. Am I catching on? Am I catching that wave?
You are catching that
Okay,
wave. You are
awesome.
catching that wave.
I love
And
it.
also,
Please, yeah.
it would be amazing if we could like develop ourselves out of jobs. But we're also
It's like I
talking.
never got fired anybody, like, it never happened, they still
Yeah.
needed me, so yes.
Yes.
Right.
Because we're talking about human behavior. So, in
Exactly. Right,
education, in the workplace, because
right.
folks can use their baryons in the workplace,
Mhm.
it's so nuanced, it's so
Right,
dynamic, and it's so always changing
right,
that,
right.
and, and new generations are reimagining
Mhm.
what this means for them, right?
Right,
And so it needs to change and evolve too. I think
right,
there's always gonna be need for us.
right. Yes, I was gonna say, I've heard quite a bit of, feedback that folks are saying, like, I don't know what I did without Barion before. Like, I don't know how I navigate waters without Barion before. Like, it's that impactful, that transformational, almost right out the get.
It is. And that is the part that we've spent the most time around because we want
Mhm,
it to be immediately like a noticeable difference.
mhm.
Thank you for sharing that user quote. I do love that
Sure.
one. And another
Yeah.
one that I really love is one person told us Chat GPT makes me happy, Baryons makes me better.
Oh, there you go. There
Yeah,
you go. Snaps.
I know,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
That was like such an incredible time because truly like the chat bots and the LLMs out of the box, they're designed to sedate us,
Mm,
to get our endorphins firing, to get us to share more and to get us to spend tons of time with it. It's just like social media, just like the internet, just like,
yeah,
all of
yeah.
that, right?
Right. It's our
And
sugar. Bring
yeah,
bring it on. Give me
yeah,
my hit. Right. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when that is the incentive, it
Mm,
looks a lot like echo chamber. It looks a lot like, mirroring back and stuff. We're not interested in that. We want
mm,
people to come in and they don't have to know what the purpose is or have any answers or anything. But
right.
in that conversation, they're going to figure it out
In conversation
for
with
themselves.
Baryon.
In
Yes?
that conversation with their baryon.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The
Yep.
baryon is gonna help them figure it out, and it's gonna help
Mhm.
them get motivated to hang up the phone and move on, right?
Yep. 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 I love
So
it. Yeah.
and I think especially in the workplace, when we get stuck at work, it's so often a very personal issue. So
Mhm.
yes, it's there to help with some of that to an
Sure.
extent, but it will also ask like like who that's a human are
Right.
you also talking to about this, and then help you find a human resource
Mm.
for working through some of those things. And then there's a layer of things that you can just work through with on your baryon
Mhm.
with your baryon. And then once you're unstuck and you've achieved flow again, like
Mhm.
there's no end of problems at work, right?
Right, right.
Or ways that,
Opportunities for
yeah.
making even better. Yes, yep, yep, yep,
Woo,
yeah,
yes. And 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 then I think what one of the coolest things, and Mike Russo might have mentioned this when he was on your show,
mhm,
that when folks are using baryons at work, if they're doing this in a team or a group that's larger, then it will yield anonymized, aggregated reports. We call
okay,
them resonance reports. And
okay.
those are just like surfacing hidden signals of energy levels, indicators of burnout.
Mm,
What kinds of issues do we think we're resolving as a team, but they keep coming back up, right?
right,
What kinds of things should the leadership, the leader or the leadership team, pay attention to or be aware of or ask more questions about, right? Again,
uh-huh,
like this is not a report to give you information. It's
right,
giving the resonance reflection so that you then can connect better with your team
right,
and have different deeper conversations and start to kind of have some of that perception shifting in the
mhm,
leader themselves too. Yeah.
yeah. For folks who are really tuning into what you are saying, like, "Wow, that actually sounds like it might be helpful," or, "Alright, I'm curious," like, "You got me, I'm I'm open to, like, checking it out and poking around a little bit," like, no commitment, but I'm open to the conversation. For folks
Yeah.
who are interested in learning more, what do you think are what would you recommend as, next steps moving forward?
Absolutely. I would say go to baryons.com. That's
Okay. Mhm.
baryons.com. Keep calm and baryon.
That's right.
And and then right there on the website you can actually access a free trial of it. And that will give you full access to your baryon for a time, right? And
Okay.
then after that, it's just $20 a month for individuals.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
Alright.
and if you
Oh,
buy a year license, it's even cheaper. So it w-
okay.
truly, we want this to be accessible to everyone. Some of
Mhm.
the most challenging things we can do, some of the biggest challenges that we go through are actually the times of transition in
Okay.
our own work, right? So whether we're
Mhm.
newly graduated from high school or just wrapping up college and wondering what's next, or
Mhm.
maybe we were between jobs. Those moments of transition are just also critical times where people need to feel heard and supported and help with the perspective shift. Build
Yeah.
flex that resiliency muscle.
That's right,
It's
that's
fun.
right.
It's when
So
you need it.
exactly, exactly, and so that makes complete sense for individuals. For organizations, y'all have, are y'all open to supporting full organization level as well?
Absolutely. We have
Okay.
several enterprises using
Oh,
baryons. And so, what we're hearing from folks is that the onboarding was faster and easier than they ever thought it was going to be.
okay.
That
Well
was great
played.
to hear.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. They're also hearing that, their employees are really appreciating the time in the workday, the allowance from the manager or business owner that they're giving their employees to spend some time talking about their own flourishing and growth. And that's a tremendous gift too.
Like, with their own individual baryon? Like, each person gets their own baryon?
Yes, each person
Interesting.
gets their own private, secure, and highly personalized baryon. So if I'm calling my baryon and you're
Mhm.
calling your baryon, totally separated, completely
Okay.
private. Nobody gets to see or hear those calls ever, ever, ever.
Okay.
If we talk about the same topic or theme or we're encountering the same problem or issue, and our
Yeah.
friend Mike Ruska is also talking about the same problem or issue, then it'll show up on the team leader's report
Okay.
in an anonymized way. It won't be our words, but it'll be like, this
Gotcha.
topic keeps coming up, this theme keeps coming up.
Mm.
Think about asking the team about XYZ.
Yeah.
And then just in like an effort to like, let's grease the wheels of communication here a little bit, just a
Yeah.
little bit. Let's keep
Mhm.
it like safe,
Yeah.
but let's
Yeah.
get things flowing, right?
Right. Right.
If
Yeah.
you and I were talking about different things, it wouldn't show up at all on the group report. So,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
it's, the description that came in my head was organizational wellness because I was thinking like, "Oh, it's almost like health and wellness, like a mental health type of, support," and, like but for the whole organization, so that we are getting, these opportunities to create clear communication, maybe address something that folks it's almost like addressing the meeting after the meeting that many organizations experience and teams experience, which if
Yeah.
anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, that's amazing. That's great. Like
Mhm.
let's not have a meeting after the meeting, but that
Yeah.
often happens where like you've got the official meeting and then you've got
Uh,
those small group conversations
mhm.
processing. I've always thought of it as more processing. Folks just, now what?
Yeah.
And that Baryon is able to support the team in a more holistic way. And
Mm.
because it's right? It's an AI, it doesn't really have an opinion. So it's
No
more of that
opinion.
neutral process, like you can just process in a neutral
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
Completely. It's non-judgmental. You can ask it to repeat things as often as you need. You can practice, you can do role play with it. You can prepare for
Mm,
things. You can even say things like, I know this thing is going to come up on the next meeting and I want to be sick that day. Like, you know, help me, help me talk through this.
Quick,
Help me
give the
practice.
dog a bone. We need a vet appointment, but not that big of a vet appointment. Yes, exactly.
Yes,
Yep,
exactly, right? And
right.
so a way to kind of like unpack it and
Mm,
try to understand what's
uh,
going on. It's really interesting, Brooks, our chief product officer, Brooks, he's so thoughtful when he's, building this out and planning how it goes. It's he's really coined the term understanding engine. And I think that is
mm,
so apt for what we're really accomplishing here
okay.
because not only does the leader get that group resonance report, but individuals get their own resonance report. And it really is a way to help people kind of understand
Yeah.
how they themselves are coming across in those moments
Mm,
and to understand the context, the ever evolving context of themselves. And that, like, yeah, my battery's not full. It it probably isn't a good thing if your battery is 100% all the time. Like that's actually impossible for a human to
right,
achieve or sustain, right?
right, right.
And
Yep.
so just and just to like find other patterns, in
Yeah,
what they're telling to the baryon. Not to say that resonance insight is the be all end all of who you are. It's not. I mean,
of course. Right.
it's doing
It's
semantic
one data point.
processing. Yes,
Right,
it's a
right.
data
It's a
point.
data
It's
point.
doing semantic processing of you know your voice and energy levels and the cadence and vocabulary that you're using.
Yeah.
Like it is doing a lot of different processing that's our unique science and research backed approach here
Uh,
to help provide, a deeper understanding of our own context within
mhm.
the world that we're operating.
I I'm loving so as a Gallup strengths coach, right? I'm a Gallup certified strengths coach, and
Yes.
what's coming in is I when to I what a cool for me, what a cool combination would be to have a team that is, right, they've brought baryons in and on board in full implementation, and they've brought in Clifton Strengths full implementation with certified coaches like yours
Yes.
truly,
Uh-huh.
and seeing like, "Oh, look at how my dominant theme" just noticing the pattern, the feedback from your own personal baryon and the org baryon of, like, "Oh, cool. Okay, now how does that connect with how our dominant themes are showing up? How are, some of those what might be known what I call the barrier label?" So, um like, one of my dominant themes is achiever, and one of the barrier labels, like, where it becomes a weakness, and Gallup's definition of
Mhm.
weakness is anything that gets in the way of success. So it's
Mm.
not necessarily like the bottom of your report, right? Oftentimes, our dominant themes can turn into our weaknesses pretty darn good. Like, it's a
Yeah.
slippery slope how quickly it transitions to that. And so the achiever theme, one of the barrier labels is work over people. And I
Mhm.
use that example with clients quite often, both in team workshops and individual coaching, that the amount of dinner dates that I missed or was late for when I didn't have the consciousness around this way of operating was. In so many times I missed dinner dates, and then recently I was reminded I missed actual flights. Like, it's like,
Oh my gosh.
that's right. I did do that. That's correct. Because when the achiever, when my achiever theme is in that overdrive and becomes a weakness, what's happening is that like, well, I could just do one more thing. I could do
Mhm.
one more thing. I could I can see myself very easily talking to my Barry like at the airport missing a flight like yeah, so here I am. I'm missing a flight and just to track. Right?
Mm.
Just to have that data point around just one theme, and right, and as humans, we are so dynamic. They're all intertwined and they all inform each other, and that nothing is in a silo. And if we are operating in a silo, that's a bit of a flag, like that all the more for a baryon, right? Support
Definitely.
system there. So yeah, my goodness, I see so many opportunities for that collaboration of right. And there's so many tools out there. There's not only Gallup Strengths, right? There's Hogan, there's this, like whatever's the tool that will help you meet the need there. And I got certified in in the Gallup Clifton Strengths tool because I find it the most holistic and
Mm.
it informs all of our relationships, all environments, because it's tuned into our natural ways of being and thinking and right. That sort of
I
thing. I will
love
get
it.
off my soapbox on that one. But I was like,
No.
"Ooh, that's so much fun." I hadn't thought about the Baryon tool and the Gallup tool and the Clifton Strengths tool together. Like, ooh,
Yes.
and you throw in a 360 assessment for like,
Right?
oh my goodness. Oh, we
Super
could be here all
powerful.
day. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, super
Yeah.
powerful. No, I went
Yes.
through a 360, once when I was working for a very large company, and it was, like, so insightful. It was incredibly insightful.
Yeah.
And because you just, like it's perspectives that you just don't even see because you're in your own little world,
Like,
for
how
better or
can you?
worse, right?
Right.
You
It's
can't.
Johari's window, right?
Yeah,
Like, what others know about you that you don't know about you. And that's okay. Like,
yeah.
we're not going to know everything. We're not robots. Yeah. I digress. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So, yes, I am a huge fan of everything that you just said, Gallup, Strength
Mm,
Finder, and especially human coaches and mentors, because that what you just described is our favorite use case, where a coach
mhm,
or a mentor goes into a company with their program and baryons is the leave behind, the
mhm.
daily,
Right,
routine that
right.
keeps people thinking about that training that they've had and that
Right.
experience and shift that they've had, because we know that adult learners, we lose 80% of our training
Yeah.
in the first 30 days after those
Mhm.
sessions. And it's because our brains are full, our life is full, there's so many
Mhm.
distractions, right? And then not everything that we inevitably, not everything that we learn is applicable to
Right.
everything that we do. And although you could argue that yes, it is, you're just not seeing it.
And
But
I said, yeah, I share with trainees, clients that you're going to get what right, you're going to get what you're meant to get in this moment, and that's
yeah,
where I do lean on my faith and divine, like whatever you're meant. And that's also why you have my card. You know where to find, like when something else rises to the surface, you have a question or ponderment or wonderment. I'm here for you. Just reach out. Yeah. So,
yeah.
I
We
I don't know
love
if I
it.
knew the 80% part. It's like, ooh, wow, that's a chunk. That's a
That
chunk.
that is the stat. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So it's like, ah,
Makes
yeah,
sense. I get it.
it
Yeah,
does. And this
yep.
is why, like every certification track, there's a review and a relearning of, the
Right,
things that we already know.
right.
Okay, it's probably familiar, but let's just make it muscle memory here,
Yep, yep,
So,
yep.
yeah,
It's
but that's
gosh,
that's our
yeah.
very favorite use cases.
And I was just thinking when you just said, yeah, like, of course, yes. I love that the Baryon is the daily. And my preference when working with organizations is actually it's not effective if it's just going to be a one and done. Like, I'm open to the one and done. And I think most, coaches like it's better than nothing. And also, golly, if you really want to return on that investment, let's at least have like a quarterly touch point. Like so got the combination of that baryon and the human coach. Like, okay, let's come together and have these really informing data points and that the client gets to name for themselves where do they want to take the conversation, right? That baryon gives I'd imagine like uh uh, so many options to take the conversation and to take the growth. Like, okay, from all of this, here's where you said you wanted to go. Is this
Mhm,
still the objective? Is this
mhm.
still right the KPI? Is it or are we pivoting? Are we massaging? Or right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
golly, all of
Very
the
dynamic.
possibilities. Yeah.
It is. It's very
Love it.
dynamic. Yes. And I think the quarterly sessions is so good too. Oh, the thing I wanted to share that came into my mind as you were speaking
Mhm.
is the accountability piece, right?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when you know that it's not a one and done, that you're going to come back quarterly,
All right.
and when you know that the baryon is there as a leave behind to help reinforce these things, it does become a really great accountability partner. And some
Mhm.
structured accountability is so good for us.
It
We
really
know that
is.
even particles, the even watched particles behave differently. Isn't that
Mm.
wild? At the subatomic level, which is a great baryon tie-in because baryons are subatomic particles. It's where movement begins.
There we go. Thank you
Yeah.
for bringing us all the way back because, yeah, Mike and I did not cover that very beautiful from the beginning. So literally, Baryon is the beginning. Yeah,
It's where movement begins.
where
And so
movement begins.
if when particles are observed, they behave differently. And if Mike was here, he would be expounding on some of
Sure.
those things differently than I do.
That's for another
But
episode. We'll bring everybody to bring
yeah,
the whole family together. Yes, it'll
yeah,
be great. Yeah.
sure. So, but those particles, not only do they behave and interact independently differently, but they behave and interact together differently.
Wow.
And we can actually see movement, like, move. So like every time I'm moving my hands,
Yeah.
my hands are full of subatomic particles that get everything moving, right? And then it's like the connections between, my neurons and my brain and my nervous system and my muscular system, and all the systems kind of working together. to make this happen. And right now, especially, stacking atomic habits just is not working enough, right? Because
Mhm.
the level of change and transformation that we each need to internalize, or openness at least to change and transformation of like how our world is operating, it's such a level that it's not just stacking habits, it's really really getting to the subatomic level.
Mhm. It's a whole nother episode.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love it. Oh, Diane,
Days and days.
yeah, yeah. I am sincerely looking forward to all of our future conversations. I learned so much when I am with you. Thank you so much for your from an educator to an educator. I love that we've had gosh, it's almost like Venn diagram, it feels like a little bit like, oh, and we were
I think
here and
so.
we were right. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
And yes, let's decrescendo this one. And I'm so curious. All right, I'm gonna have 3 questions for you, even though listeners, you're in for the endurance challenge. You've probably like paused this a couple times. So thank you for still being like, this is so much fun. My goodness. Yeah. Okay. So I think it was probably 30 minutes ago, you talked about the importance of having the definition for yourself of
Mm,
flourish. And thank you for that invitation because I have yet to think about that for myself. So thank you for that
yeah.
invitation and mentorship and modeling. And I was wondering if you're open to sharing your definition with listeners.
Yeah. I
Okay.
I really am.
Okay.
Um, my definition of flourishing, it looks like mornings where I feel like I can sit down with a cup of coffee. It
Mm,
looks like a day when I've caught either the sunrise or the sunset. If I see
mm.
them both, even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, and it looks like, moments of calm, feeling like, no matter how high octane it gets, I can find my moment of calm. And I know that if those simple things are present in my day to day, that feels like flourishing to me. And it has, like, truly enabled me to be open to so many waves that I wouldn't have felt prepared for,
Mm.
because I'm not hung up on a long list of perfect things that go into my own flourishing. So for me, it works for that reason.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. The adage, less is more just came in.
for me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for me.
Love
Not
it.
for everybody.
All
It's all
right.
about how we're wired.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And they're not on the show right now. You are. So and it's perfect. Yes, exactly. All right. Are you up for 2 more questions?
Of course.
All right. And these are actually what Mike said are his 2 questions that he really enjoys asking people. So you probably have heard them from him. But you're here with me, so I'm gonna ask you. And that is, what are you passionate about? It's one of them.
Mm. I'm passionate about human connection. I think that especially right now, human connection is rare.
Mm,
Authenticity and human connection,
mhm,
those kind of go hand in hand, I think, because people know when we're not being authentic, and that becomes a barrier to connecting. So I'm super passionate about that. Like creating experiences and opportunities for more of that.
mm. And
Yeah.
so thankful you and the team do, truly. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. And the next question is, what are you looking forward to?
Mm. I am looking forward to, well, when I say this, it will be looking backward to.
Okay.
I'm
Love it.
looking forward to, quite literally, next week. I'm heading off to Houston
Hmm,
for a brain capital summit. And I'm really looking forward to this because it's going to be so interesting. And before I dive into that, I just want to
Uh,
point out here that a lot of communities, not just Houston, but a lot of communities worldwide are having these discussions about how do we structure our own local systems to
mm,
support the brain health and mental health of our
huh,
communities.
mm,
And so the brain capital is really about like how do we take take it even a step further and build economic solutions and structures to reinforce the health of our brains, our brain
amazing.
health. Yes.
Right. Oh,
So I'm very
yes.
excited about this because a lot of different parties are coming together to talk through the different systems that go into our livelihoods, our education, our community supports, and things like that. And I feel like I feel pretty strongly that the things that are happening in the world now
Mm,
are so overwhelming, and
mm,
we need to be worried because it means that we show up with a different level of intention and presence.
mm. Okay.
And so it's helping a lot of communities really get to a local level because that is where we can also make an impact is in
Mhm,
our local communities and how we take care of each other locally.
mhm.
It's just as critical as everything that's happening, on in the bigger arenas, right? So I'm really looking forward to being part of that discussion in Houston and frankly, taking some notes to see what I can bring back to my own local community too. Yeah.
Yeah. I I am very much looking forward to following up with you after your experience there and just, whatever you want to share. I'll be open to hear it. My background, I was a goalkeeper. That's where I acquired most of my concussions, and it was, before we had protocols, not quite, just throw some magic water. It was like in that window. And so I'm personally a really big fan of neurofeedback, which is not different from biofeedback and
Mhm.
neurofeedback. And I have had a massive improvement in terms of quality of life just
Yes.
after 2 sessions, and I was able to have up to I think it was 22 the irony, I can't quite remember right now, but, like, between 22 and 30 sessions of neurofeedback, which is right, you've got the grounding wire, and it's literally rewiring your brain, um
That's amazing. Yeah.
and yeah, and COVID right, the COVID safety precautions came in, so couldn't go
Mm.
back in person. I haven't been si so 2020, and we're in 2026, June 2026 at the time of this recording, and just now I'm like, I think it'd be smart to go back in, but what I love about it not but and what I love about it is that, neurosurgeons go in for neurofeedback, professional athlete it just keeps you sharp on your game, so there's something to be
100%.
s right, there's something to be said for me anyway, that there's not, like, a stigma around and even if there was, I'm now at a time in my life where I don't care if there's a stigma or not, if it's helping me, it's helping me, right?
Yes.
And that I'm gonna name that I am so curious how like, what you learn from this convention and also
Mhm.
how the narrative will continue to shape because that's the part and I share in small I have yet to record this and share this with the world, so now the world's about to hear. I am so confused on why that therapeutic option isn't talked about more because of my own personal experience. I haven't seen the
Mhm.
research. I just know from my own personal experience that it took me from not being able to have a conversation with my partner. Like she was like, well, like she and I knew that it was like 6 p.m. No more important conversations
Oh,
because I would not remember it the next day. Like, it was just better for our relationship to not talk about it, and after 2 sessions, it was only 2 sessions of neurofeedback. It was like 9 p.m., and I was still, just chatty Cathy, like, "Burp, burp, 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 burp," and she's yawning, and we both were like, "Whoa, what is going on? Altered universe," and we both almost at the same time, like, the only thing that had changed was I had gone to neurofeedback, and it
that's amazing.
right? Full
That's
body goosebumps.
amazing.
So and I
I
have
keep
to believe
hearing
it's
about
helping
this.
with the
I need to
CTE and right.
yeah.
Like, I'd imagine and I'm not done yet, like, I will donate my brain if they can figure out how to figure out the CTE before, before postmortem, mortem, whatever. I'm all about being part of that. Like, I put my name in for the brain research and everything. And,
Great.
like, why aren't we talking about this more? And again, I'm gonna name it because it's my show and I'm just gonna name it. Like, I take full ownership. I have to believe that it has to do with the color green. Like, I don't know who's not getting paid enough for
Mhm.
this to be at the top of the conversation throughout all the national organizations that I get newsletters for and are at the
Yeah.
front of this research. I am so thoroughly confused. So in all sincerity, I'm really looking forward to hearing whatever you might hear at the convention. And I was like, I wonder if me going to those conventions would be really help. So I'll be curious to hear your experience and all. And thank you for clearly tapping into that firecracker just now. Yeah. Anybody who I am in community with who shares that they've had multiple concussions, like, hey, look no further. Go get because also what, from my understanding, it's not covered by insurance yet. So that's like that's a bummer. And also then it's equal opportunity. Like, okay, well then there's nothing holding us back, right? So of course finances and all, and that it it's a it is accessible in a certain way versus insurance controlling how many times you go,
Gatekeeping.
but that's
Mhm.
not part of the
Yeah.
conversation. That's what I mean by
Yeah.
accessible. Like, right now, it's
I see
what
that.
you're
Okay.
able to access for yourself.
Yeah.
So,
It's not
yeah,
being gatekeep the insurance
that's
is
the
not
phrase.
gatekeeping it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right, right.
That's such an incredible way to look at it because I think like you're saying it does make it a solution that's on an equal playing field from an access perspective, which is amazing. I keep hearing about it. I've read about the
Do you?
study
Okay.
and I know it's really therapeutic for a lot of things, for concussions. Well, like you were saying, all these different people are getting it. But concussions, depression,
Yep.
anxiety,
Yep.
all of the like anything that affects our nervous system, I'm sure it probably
I
helps.
think
Um,
the person who I went and got a session, provided the sessions for me, he also had younger patients who
okay.
had been tested and identified as having ADHD and
Mm,
ADD, and it really
and
supported them. And these are like 9, 10, 11, 12 year olds. So,
incredible.
and from what I'm understanding, also experienced improvement in their quality of life. So,
Mm,
yeah, like I have yet to, I'm also open to that. I would if there is something out there where the conclusion is that it's not helpful, like, great, let's bring that into the conversation and figure out how but I have
yeah.
yet to, um I have yet to hear or experience anything adverse from that option. So,
That's amazing.
yeah.
What a gift that you found it. What a gift for you and your partner.
Right. Former partner, but yes, like, still good friends and everything, but yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yes, 100%. Yeah. So,
that's great.
um, brilliant.
Very
All right,
cool.
my friend. I love it. Like, clearly, again, we could chat all day. Like, it just get us on to another topic. Okay, your favorite color? No, just kidding.
It's our
Uh,
neurodivergence showing.
yes, yes, I love it. I love it. Ugh, all right, my friend. Well, thank you again. Okay, so for friends who have tuned in and they're just loving everything that you and the team are doing at Barryons, how can they find you? What's the best way to connect? And next steps in that regard.
So I'm Diane Weaver. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Baryons. And you can find me on LinkedIn, and you can also visit baryons.com and absolutely sign up there. Get your Baryon. Have the first phone call. Just rip off the band-aid. Do it. You'll love it. It'll be great.
Awesome. Diane, thank you so much for being on the show. I am so excited for all the listeners to reach out to y'all, give Barry on a try, and yeah, we'll continue the conversation in the days ahead and have so much fun at the convention. I'm so excited for you. I'm excited to
Thank
hear
you.
all about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank
my
you.
friend.
Be
Thanks
good.
again. We'll talk to you soon. What an awesome conversation with Diane Weaver of Baryons. My goodness. Thank you again, Diane, for taking the time out and being on the podcast, especially with everything that they're doing over there at Baryons. I'm very touched that both she and Mike, their CEO, Mike Rushka, were both able to come on to the Teach and Talk podcast and just share all the great work that they're doing. And so again, in this thought of how it all connects to Tutum Talk, right? And especially myself as a Gallup certified coach, what I loved about the potential collaboration between using the Baryons tool and the Clifton Strengths tool, formerly known as Strengths Finder, I loved what we were talking about. Diane and I were talking about in the episode of when there's that real time Baryons data and those check-ins with the staff, and you're getting that pulse feedback, like pulse check feedback from your team in almost real time, how beautiful the Clifton Strengths tool can help complement those conversations on creating an even more supportive culture and really meeting the needs where they are, as stated by your folks during that Baryon, using the Baryon tool. So I'm still thinking about that, and it'll be exciting to partner with folks. So as you navigate the Baryon tool and start to use it, if you're finding it's a really solid fit and you'd love to bring Clifton Strengths into that, uh, bring it in as a tool to continue to support, create an even more inclusive culture and a culture of belonging at your workplace. I would love to hop on a call and just hear how it's going. And of course, explore any ways that I can support you and the work that you and your team and your organization are doing using the Clifton Strengths tool. So on that note, y'all take care. Thanks again for tuning in to another episode of Tutum Talk. I miss y'all already, and I'll see you at the next one. Mwah.